Hey guys, come on downstairs. After a couple of months of taking some time off of sports games and to kind of try to rejuvenate myself on the channel, I'm getting back into Minnesota Twins franchise. It'll be MLB The Show 20 because that's where MLB The Show left off on our year-to-year saves. And we're going to do something a little different this season. We're going to fly all of the road trips, all 41 flights throughout the course of the season, starting with today, as we return to Minneapolis from Fort Myers and spring training to get ready for opening day. Let's get off the ground here in Florida, and then I'll go into a few details of this upcoming season of Minnesota Twins franchise. It'll be season number 7 from where we started back in 2016 with MLB The Show 16. And we've been cleared for takeoff here at Southwest Florida International. Guys, I'd totally taken another step in video game nerdism right here. Video game geek. But I'm among friends, right? This is so nerdy to do all the flights, but I have fun with it. And wheels up in Florida. We're heading back to Minneapolis. Spring training is over, and opening day will be next. We are opening up at home at Target Field against the Detroit Tigers, which is why we're heading to Minneapolis. If we were opening up somewhere else, we'd be flying somewhere else. But we're heading back to Minneapolis from the warmth of Florida up to the cold weather, April in Minnesota. So the last full season I did of Minnesota Twins franchise was season number 5, and that was in MLB The Show 20. MLB The Show 21 discontinued year-to-year saves and basically pulled the rug out from under my 5 years worth of work that I put into this series. But I'm not going to let San Diego Studios do that to me. I put too much work into this series throughout the years that I'm going to keep it going. Yeah, I know it's not the most recent version of MLB The Show. As we kick this into high gear, this was about a 3.5 hour flight that I've condensed into 12 minutes. So obviously we have to go at a pretty good rate of speed to cover it all. Season number 6 of Minnesota Twins franchise was very disjointed because I was trying to simultaneously do an MLB The Show 21 Cincinnati Reds franchise that just never felt right. So I'm going back to the Minnesota Twins franchise. Season number 6 was a very disappointing season, to say the least. We had a lot of injuries on the squad, and it didn't go as well as season number 5 did. And we're going to go through in our next episode. While we do our opening day, will also be a preview of the upcoming season. You'll see it'll be a good episode. It's a long episode, but it is a good one with opening day from Minneapolis. But yeah, we'll have an extensive season preview and kind of a review of the entire franchise, because I know it's been a while since, it's probably been over a year since I've posted anything from this franchise, from this series on my channel. So we're going to have an extensive review of all 6 years that we have done in Minnesota Twins franchise, so we're fully up to date to get season 7 underway. Like I said, we will have 41 road trips, 41 flights throughout the course of the season. And at one point I was going to add up all the miles that it was going to be, and I still might eventually, but I don't have that number for you at the moment. But we're going to do a lot of flying from place to place. For example, our first road trip, we have 3 games at home against Detroit to open up the season, and then we will fly to Chicago to take on the White Sox. From Chicago we fly to Baltimore to face the Orioles, and then back home to Minneapolis for a 6-game homestand. So it'll be fun to, just another level of immersiveness, I guess, in this series. Flying the road trips here with Microsoft Flight Simulator 2020. it gives me some structure. I love to play Flight Simulator, but I have a hard time deciding where to fly, what I want to do. And this gives me some structure to at least choose some flights based on what I'm doing in some of my other games. By the way, I'm also going to do this with Southern Utah Thunderbirds Dynasty in College Football Revamped. That one's coming back here shortly. I've just about got the entirety of season number 8 done for that, and at some point here in the near future we'll start that series back up too. It shouldn't be too long, especially now that we're getting back into posting sports videos, and I've kind of rejuvenated myself after taking a break on the channel. So we're about halfway through this flight to Minneapolis. We're starting to see some snow on the ground, so we're definitely not in Florida anymore, heading up through the Midwest. I think our route took us over Tennessee, Kentucky, Ohio. I think we go by Chicago. We actually not Chicago. We go by Detroit, and then we go across the state of Wisconsin into Minneapolis. And I think we actually our approach or our arrival into Minneapolis went as far north as Duluth before turning and heading down south to Minneapolis, which sounds like it's a long way, but in a plane it's really not that far. It added like maybe 10, 15, 20 minutes onto our flight, if that. So a lot of cloud cover. I'll be doing, for the most part, I'll be doing live weather, and hopefully be able to match up our baseball with the weather that we get. It's like, say, for example, we land in Baltimore and it's a driving rainstorm. The next day in our opening game of the series with the Orioles will be in the rain. So hopefully it'll all match up and I'll make it seem really realistic that way. So the other thing that I think warrants some discussion in this first episode or this first video of season number 7 is that I know in real life after games, teams are going to be flying at night. Say after the game, a couple hours after the game, they'll board the plane and head to the next city at night. But you guys don't want to watch a whole bunch of pitch black night flights and nothing else. So we're going to pretend like they don't leave till the next morning. So we at least have some daylight to fly in most of the time. We'll do some night flights here and there. But most of the time, there's more to see in the daylight, and you don't want to just follow a bunch of night flights. That wouldn't be fun. So we'll stray from realism a little bit that way, and I think that warrants a little bit, or warrants some discussion, just so you're aware of that we'll do. Again, totally nerding out on this channel right now and into the future, I know. But I'm among friends, I feel, so hopefully you guys will get into the immersiveness of this series. I know it's MLB The Show 20. It's not going to be the most recent one. I might do something else with MLB The Show 22, maybe a Road to the Show or something like that. But this is going to be our official franchise because we put so much work into it. All right, guys, we are starting our approach now into Minneapolis as we slow down the sim rate a little bit here. Again, it was a 3.5-hour flight from Fort Myers to Minneapolis that we condensed into 12 minutes, almost 13 minutes. And there is still snow in Minneapolis. As there's St. Paul straight ahead, Minneapolis is to the right, and we're basically going to be splitting right between them to land at Minneapolis St. Paul International Airport, which will be our home airport for our Minnesota Twins. So you should get pretty familiar with that airport and with our approaches into Minneapolis. Okay, now we will do our final approach and landing. I think this is ×2 speed. Good look at St. Paul off to the left. Minneapolis up at the top right corner of your screen. There's several different runways at Minneapolis St. Paul International. This one we are heading due west. There is a runway that we will be heading straight north with a nice view of the city of Minneapolis. But we've got to land into a headwind. We don't want a tailwind to land because it makes things pretty difficult and can cause all kinds of problems, downdrafts, and push your nose into the runway and whatnot. So got to land into a headwind, so that will determine which runway we land on and which direction we're heading in all of our approaches. And we are almost on the ground for opening day. Okay, we have disengaged the autopilot. We'll be hand flying the rest of this approach. And a quick disclaimer on this landing. When I did this flight, I started it at like midnight, and this was like 3:30 a.m. and I was struggling to stay focused and keep my eyes open. So this might be one of the worst landings. I mean, it wasn't a bad landing. We just weren't dead center on the runway. We were off to the left. But it was 3:30 in the morning and I was dead tired. Didn't realize that my wings weren't totally level. But we've touched down in Minneapolis. We're ready for opening day. Our next episode of Twins franchise will be our opening day game against the Detroit Tigers. We'll have Jose Barrios on the hill for us, set to be our opening day starter. And we'll go over our roster and all of that stuff in the next episode. Like I said, it's a long one. It's about 40-something minutes long. So be prepared for that. Most of the episodes will be about 15 minutes or so. But the first opening day one will be quite a long episode. But it's a good one. Very good episode. All right, snow on the ground. It's a good thing Target Field has the heated turf to melt all that stuff, so should be nice green grass to play on in game number 1 of 162 starting in our next episode. Minneapolis St. Paul International Airport, home of the Minnesota Twins, your Minnesota Twins. It's season number 7 of our Minnesota Twins franchise, and it's Mama's Basement Sports Gaming.